What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Junkyard Joe issue number 3. It's been a little bit of time since we've jumped into some of our deep indie comics, so we're gonna take today to catch up on some old lines that we haven't covered in a couple months. Starting off is jumping into the Geigerverse. We are picking back up with Junkyard Joe. And it has been a lot of years since the Vietnam War, Muddy Davis being the only survivor from his squad. He has lived a long and relatively successful life, creating a cartoon strip that was inspired by Junkyard Joe. As he goes into retirement, that is when Joe shows up at his front door. Not sure why he's here or what purpose this is. Muddy Davis' life is about to be turned upside down. So make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into this issue, we are picking up with the neighbor Sam coming by to introduce himself. What Muddy doesn't know is that this man is a huge fan of the cartoon work that Muddy has done his whole life. As he tries to make his introduction, he tries to say hello, tries to make sure that they get off on the right foot. The problem is, Muddy's got a lot going on. With Junkyard Joe showing up, he is more concerned about Joe, more concerned about somebody seeing him. As Joe is walking around, it appears he's doing chores. This is when Muddy kind of freaks out a little bit, and he tells Sam to just go away. And for Sam, this is very disheartening. This is one of Sam's idols, and he just slammed the door in his face. And so with his day off to already a bad start, Muddy goes inside and he sees that Junkyard Joe is doing laundry, or at least attempting to. But Muddy is more concerned on where he is from and where did he come from. When he asks Joe these questions, Joe simply stares at him. And then we hop over to the neighbor's house. Sam having 2 daughters and a young boy. It appears that the mother is not with them, and the girl Emily, the one with the beanie and glasses, she finds herself completely preoccupied with whoever Muddy is, currently looking up his Wikipedia page. As she begins to argue with her sister, we can see that the house is just in disarray, but also this is just what it is living with children. As Sam gets all of his kids ready for school, Emily cannot help but ask her father how the interaction went with Muddy across the street, with her seeing somebody in the house the last evening, his wife dying last summer. This has struck her curiosity. She is curious on who could be over there in that house with him. But loading everybody up into the car, he goes to take them all to school. This is where we go back over to Muddy's house. We have Junkyard Joe who is sweeping, who is cleaning, doing the dishes. Honestly, it looks like he's trying to keep himself preoccupied. But Muddy is just trying to get answers, trying to figure out how Joe was even able to find him. That's when Joe pulls out a small little tabloid, a cutout from the newspaper showing that Junkyard Joe's strip is to end after 47 years. But with Joe not being able to say anything, or at least it appears he's not able to talk. Maybe he's choosing not to talk. Regardless, Muddy is trying to figure out what he is going to do with him. There's gotta be somebody looking for him, thinking maybe he should call the army. But then he gets an idea. He pulls out a map and he asks Joe to show me where you came from. But when this is met with a dead end, Muddy goes to check the dog tags. Pulling the dog tags out, we see some kind of insignia, something that we don't recognize. But before they can finish their conversation, that is when the phone rings. We pick up with Emily at her first day of school. Getting into art class, she's a little bit nervous. And immediately, right off the bat, we have somebody that is already being cruel to her. One of those mean girls from high school trying to grab her notebook, trying to grab her sketchbook and see what she works on. Pulling away from her, this is where we see her fall into a cart full of paint. And the mean girl, of course, having no remorse. We can see that the first day of school has become already very difficult. But back at the house with Junkyard Joe and Muddy, after they have come inside from shoveling the front yard, Muddy goes to get something to warm himself up. Grabbing a glass, we see it fall to the ground. When this glass falls, we see the shatter, and this causes Junkyard Joe to freak out. He starts punching the wall. He starts grabbing things and breaking them. And Muddy knows exactly what this is. He calms Joe down. He tells him that it's okay, that you are in a safe place, and that there is no one to fight here. Taking us back over to the neighbor's household, we see that they have had a very bad day. The young boy Will had gotten into a fight. Emily had a bad day herself. Their father had a bad day. Everybody in this house just had a very bad first day. And in this moment, Emily snaps. Nobody is happy about moving halfway across the country to some farm town. They feel it's because Sam just simply couldn't stand being reminded of their mother. The truth is, Sam never talks about her. He changes the subject every time they mention her. They were really hoping that this change of scenery would be good for all of them. It appears that their mother has passed. With Emily being so harsh, Sam says that they can make the lasagna themselves, that he's not hungry and he's going to sleep. This is when Emily grabs her bag and she runs out of the house. She runs to the doorstep of Muddy Davis. She sits on the front porch. She looks at her drawings, but then she hears a noise. Coming from inside the house, she decides to look in the window. And this is when she sees Muddy holding Junkyard Joe, comforting him, letting him know that it was just a mug, that it was simply an old mug. And while Joe may be a robot, in this moment, we can feel his humanity. We can feel all the suffering. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Not a whole lot moving the plot forward, but really, this was about character building, and it did it in a very good way. Obviously, the neighbors are going to play some kind of significant role in whatever happens next. It didn't take long for someone to discover that Junkyard Joe was over at Muddy Davis's house. But what is more important here is the story of Joe. While we still don't know where he came from, what's really going on, Junkyard Joe came to seek out somebody he knows, something that makes sense to him. And when that glass broke, this was an episode of PTSD. It immediately triggered it in his brain. It activated what we would call the fight or flight. And for a soldier, it is always to fight. This is why he started punching everything, started breaking everything. The anger, the anxiety, all of it built up too quickly, too fast. And it resulted in him doing what he did. And so if you're thinking that he is nothing more than just a robot, this moment alone shows that he is so much more. And just like any other human being, that war took its toll. There's something that many soldiers simply don't talk about. It's talked about more frequently these days, but when you join the military, you're sent off to war, nobody really thinks about what comes after, about the years to follow, once you're out and no longer in service. And as many have said, the true war starts when you get home. Because while you may have left the battlefield, the memory of those battles will live on in your brain. They have been burned into your mind. They can be all-consuming. Because going to war is the easy part. Living after war, that is what is hard. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get completely caught up on everything going on with Junkyard Joe, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything going on with Junkyard Joe. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. If you are unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.